Ever heard of PCOS? It's like your ovaries decided to throw a wild party, producing more male hormones than usual. And this can mess with your periods and make getting pregnant tricky. Together with 1 in 10 women, I have been diagnosed with PCOS. And today we're going to talk about it. So what is PCOS? Polycystic ovary syndrome. It's a condition where your ovaries produce an abnormal amount of androgens, aka male hormones, like testosterone. It's normal for women to have testosterone, but too much? No. That's when problems like hair thinning, excessive hair growth, skin tags, acne, missing your periods, and having difficulty getting pregnant happen. PCOS affects 1 in 10 women and 1 in 5 women of reproductive age. A lot of times it goes undiagnosed and women often don't know they have it. So let's dive into PCOS. Well, there are 4 types of PCOS. The first one is insulin-resistant PCOS. That's the one I have, and it's where your body struggles to deal with insulin, which causes hormonal imbalances. The second one is inflammatory PCOS, which is linked to chronic inflammation in the body. Then you have post-pill PCOS, where you temporarily get PCOS symptoms after stopping birth control, like the pill. And lastly, we have adrenal PCOS, which is caused by an excess of adrenal androgens, male hormones. So what are the symptoms of PCOS? What do women deal with? There are so many symptoms. You have hirsutism, which is excess hair growth that you can have on your chin, on your face, on your back. You can also have hair thinning. I've seen it in a lot of women on these sides. I also have it in here that I feel like, okay, this is where the hair is thinning a little bit, and on top. And then you can also have skin tags, which can be under your armpits and on different areas of your body. You can also have a very dark coloration under your armpits on some parts, especially when you are a woman of color. You can also have acne and really oily skin. And probably most common of all, you can have irregular periods or even have no periods at all. And this can, of course, really mess up your plans getting pregnant. And besides all of these symptoms, you also have symptoms that affect your mental health. So a lot of women with PCOS often have anxiety, depression, are sleep deprived, have a lot of trouble falling asleep, energy levels that go up and down. It's a lot. And besides all of this, you can also experience emotional stress from having all of these symptoms. Damn, it's so tough. But it is manageable, and today I really want to share my story of how I manage my PCOS so that it can give you a bit of hope and some tips and some practical insight on how you can manage your PCOS. So first, let me dive into my personal story. Well, my first experience with PCOS was very confusing. From the first time that I got my period when I was 11 to all the way when I was 26, I got my period once a year, and for a long time I thought that was normal. I was just like, chill. Once a year, fine, I'm good, I'm lucky. And at 26, things changed. For a whole month, 24/7, I'm not kidding, I was horny AF. Dreaming about it, thinking about having sex, and just my whole body was just raging with hormones. I thought, okay, fine, this is good. But after that, it was followed by 2 weeks of hell, where I was bleeding like crazy. I had so much pain. I was changing a tampon every 2 hours. And after this happened, you can imagine, I thought, it's time to go to the gynecologist. And believe it or not, this was my first time going to a gynecologist at 26 years old. But yeah, it was time because this was scary and it wasn't feeling right. So I went to the gynecologist and I spread my legs. I was super nervous. My first time, kind of weird. You don't know this person and you're just opening up your legs. And I was just waiting for her to finish the ultrasound and some other checks. And within 5 minutes, the gynecologist said, you have PCOS. And here's a flyer. And she prescribed me the birth control pill. No explanation, nothing. Just that. So I walked out of her office reading this flyer. And what I saw was so eye-opening and scary at the same time. I saw all of the symptoms that I've been having my whole life that I was also very ashamed of. Like, for instance, hair under my chin, and also hair thinning and missing periods. And it said that I was more prone to get diabetes and heart problems and so many more things, right? Also, when I read that PCOS can be genetic, which it can be, I called my mom and asked her, hey, do you have any of these symptoms? And my mom confirmed and said, yes, I do. What is it? And I said, this is PCOS. And I kind of got a little bit angry at first because I was like, why didn't you never talk to me about it? But then she said, I didn't know either. And women in my age at that time didn't go to the gynecologist and nobody got education about it. And so I couldn't really blame her for not knowing either. So PCOS can run in families, and the lack of education can be so frustrating. My sister, who's 31, literally found out a few months ago that she has PCOS too. So check out if you have any of these symptoms. First of all, go to a doctor, go to a gynecologist, get yourself checked out, but also see, hey, does my mom have it, or my sister, or my daughter? After this, for years, I stayed on the birth control pill, thinking, okay, this is what I have to do. To be honest, it was also very convenient because I was sexually exploring and just having your period whenever you want. For me, it was convenient. Until 2 years ago, where I decided I don't want to put any more hormones in my body. I want to see what my hormones are like myself, because I really wanted a natural hormonal life. And since stopping the birth control pill, my periods have become way more regular, consistent, especially in the last year or so. And I'm almost 35. I'm 34 right now. Yeah, it's been interesting. And I know this because I started tracking my period as well. So I have so much knowledge now on how long my cycle is, how regular it is, my ovulation, all of that stuff, because I track my cycle. I'm 34 now and I have PCOS, but it doesn't define me. And because I'm the CEO of Umaversity and I'm meeting experts every day that know so much about hormonal balances, hormones and nutrition, PCOS, menstrual cycle, and all of that stuff, I have really learned way more about balancing my hormones and dealing with PCOS in a natural way. And I will tell you, there are way more natural ways for you to treat your PCOS. So let me give you 5 tips on how I manage my PCOS. A little bit of a disclaimer, I'm not a doctor, but I have a lot of experts around me. I'm still experimenting. I am discovering things, I am listening to my body, I am seeking expert help, because PCOS is still such a undiagnosed and unresearched condition. So there's more and more information coming out every year. So who knows, maybe later down the line, I will update you with more tips and ways to treat your PCOS. But first, let me dive into what I do right now to manage my PCOS. The first thing is to manage your nutrition. Eating a hormone balancing diet and especially avoiding sugars, because sugar really affects your insulin and glucose levels, which then in turn, when they're out of whack, they worsen your symptoms for PCOS. So try to minimize your sugars. I know it's hard in this world. If I can do it, you can do it too. Some experts recommend a gluten-free and lactose-free diet. I must say that for me, I'm not allergic, but I've noticed that gluten and lactose do have some effect on me. I noticed that my energy levels are not consistent. I have dips and I just don't feel that great. I feel bloated sometimes. So I try to minimize my gluten and lactose intake by either taking lactose-free or gluten-free products, or just not having anything that has gluten or lactose in it. The second is managing your insulin. I never knew how important insulin is in your body. It manages so much, and especially because I have insulin-resistant PCOS, I need to manage it even more. So how do I manage my insulin? Well, I start the day by drinking a little bit of apple cider vinegar diluted in water. Because research shows that when you drink something vinegary 20 minutes before you eat, your glucose levels are already lower and they won't spike so much. Because we're trying to keep those glucose levels consistent and not have big ass spikes. After drinking the apple cider vinegar water drink, I always eat a savory breakfast where I have vegetables, proteins, and fat, and maybe a little bit of carbs. I eat them also in this order. So I always start eating my vegetables first, then my proteins, and then my fat. Because research shows that when you eat your vegetables first before the protein and fat, that your proteins and fat will actually get absorbed in a better way and your glucose levels won't spike up. I don't have those afternoon dips anymore, or those exhaustive moments, or just those crazy sugar cravings that I had before, because chocolate is literally my best friend and I could eat just a whole bag of M&Ms. And that's a very common symptom in women with PCOS. They do have those crazy sugar cravings. And if you do want to have sugar, according to research, it's better if you take your sugar after your meal as a dessert, or you drink some apple cider vinegar or some balsamico, something vinegary, 20 minutes before you take something sugary, because this will avoid your glucose levels going up like crazy. The third tip I have is tracking your cycle. Tracking your cycle is something actually that every woman should do. Every person with a vulva should do this, because it gives you so much insight in what is actually happening in your body, and if there's some irregularities or if there's something that you really need to pay attention to. Because even stress can affect your cycle, nutrition can affect your cycle, situations in life can affect your cycle, and it's so important that you know what's going on. And it's really tuning into your body. And because I've started tracking my cycle, I've seen the difference in how my body is becoming healthier when it comes to my hormones. And I think that's very valuable. There's a bunch of apps out there that can help you track your cycle, like Clue, like Flow, and a bunch more. And they can really give you an overview of when the different phases of your cycle occur, like your luteal phase, your menstrual phase, your follicular phase, and also your ovulation. So more on those phases another time. But yeah, tracking your cycle, it really brings more awareness to your body, and it's a bit of self-love and self-care that I have as well. The fourth tip that I have for you to manage your PCOS is to take natural supplements. The first supplement that I take is inositol. It's derived from vitamin B, and it's really been helpful to keep my androgen levels, my male hormones, and my insulin levels, and my glucose levels all in check. A lot of research and a lot of experts have said that this is the #1 supplement that you should take when you have PCOS. I also take NAC, berberine, saw palmetto, vitamin D, and of course all of the multivitamins, zinc, magnesium, omega-3 fish oil, and lastly, milk thistle. And all of these supplements are all natural and really can help you manage your insulin levels, your fertility, and also your androgen levels. And besides that, I also drink green tea or spearmint tea every day, because that also lowers the androgen levels and lowers the testosterone levels in your body. And the last tip I have for you, and it's such an important one, is exercising regularly. This is good for your overall health, of course, and this is something everybody should do, but especially when you have PCOS, because one of the biggest symptoms is that it's really hard to lose weight when you have PCOS. And it's often because of the insulin resistance and all of the symptoms and the hormonal imbalances that it's so hard to lose weight. And I found one of the best ways to keep my PCOS and my weight and my energy in check is to take a 20-minute walk every day. Listening to a podcast or listening to music or calling a friend, but just moving around. And especially when I've had something to eat that's sugary, I take a walk, because then at least you can use that energy up and you feel better afterwards. And besides walking, I also like to do some yoga, some stretching, some Tai Chi in the morning, just to activate the whole body again and just to have the blood flow going. And when it comes to working out, I like to do dancing and Pilates and also bar classes. And these are all body weighted workouts. And when I really want to use real weights, I go to the gym, because all of that is super good for you when you have PCOS. Ooh, we have a question from the community. Let's hear it.
I have PCOS, and I feel like all I do is exercise and I'm not seeing any results. I also don't feel relaxed after doing cardio or working out. Do you have any tips on how I can exercise?
I love this question. And as I mentioned before, it's really good to do weighted workouts. In this society, everybody is just pushing you to do cardio. But actually, when you have PCOS, it's good not to raise your heart levels too much, because that also increases your cortisol levels. And when you have PCOS, your cortisol levels are through the roof already, and you want to actually lower them. So what I do to lower my cortisol levels is yin yoga, breath work. Often when I wake up in the morning, I start with my breath work, listening to my affirmations, and it's the absolute best. I really found that weighted workouts are so much more effective than HIIT training, because HIIT training, I used to do a lot of jump roping every day, like 20 minutes, but I didn't feel better afterwards. I felt more stressed, more pumped, and I was working out, I think 5-6 times a week together with the cardio, and I didn't see any difference. And that's the biggest frustration a lot of women with PCOS have. You're working out like crazy, you're eating just a little bit, and you're still not losing weight. Well, try weighted workouts. It's so much better. A bonus tip, make sure that you sleep on time, because The fatigue is real with PCOS. And when I'm really strict with my sleeping times, my hormones are so much more in balance. I feel better throughout the day. I have less anxiety, less depression. So yeah, that's a bonus tip for you. So this is my story about how I managed my PCOS and my PCOS journey. I really hope that it helped you and that it made you more aware about what PCOS is, the symptoms, and what you can do about it. If you have any of the symptoms that I mentioned today, please go see a doctor. If it turns out that you have PCOS, ask for natural ways to manage it. And if you want more tips and tricks on how to deal and manage your PCOS, join the Umaversity community. We have so many women that share their stories, but we also have experts that answer your questions and give you really valuable tips. You can join in the link below, and I really hope to see you in the community. It's such a blessing. So before we wrap up, I would love to do some affirmations with you. So repeat after me. My body's challenges do not define my worth or femininity. I am healing my body with every breath, and my body is healing my reproductive system. Your journey with PCOS is one of strength and resilience, and you are not alone. We're here together, and let's support each other. Until next time, Umas!